So I put out this tweet saying if you leave the USA, you are almost guaranteed to have a larger home, better food, better weather, better health care, lower taxes, and overall a higher standard of living. In this video, I'm going to break down each of these subjects in a little bit more detail and just generally expand on this tweet to give you a better idea of what things are going to be like once you leave the United States. So let's tackle them in order. You're going to have a larger home if you leave the United States. This is pretty obvious. You can rent a full, nice 3-bedroom house, 4-bedroom house in a private gated community in Latin America, starting at $250, $300 a month, $500 a month, $700, $800 a month on the high end. Obviously, this is worlds away from the United States, where it costs, what, $4,000 a month to rent the average home? I kind of noticed that most Americans just don't have a spare bedroom. They don't have the ability to accept guests. They don't have a maid's quarters. They don't have the ability to have in-home help, which is huge for elder care, by the way. And the reason being, and I've tweeted about this as well, is people say, well, if I had an extra bedroom, that would cost me an extra $1,500 a month. And yeah, who wants to spend, $10,000 a year or $15,000 a year for a spare bedroom? I get that. But in Latin America, you can easily get a house bigger than you need, and it's going to cost only a fraction of what it costs in the United States. So you might as well just get a bigger house than you need and have a couple extra spare bedrooms for guests that come down and visit you from the US or whatever it is. The other piece of it is a lot of houses in Latin America are designed to have maids' quarters. So they'll have like this little maid's room that probably has a separate bathroom and kind of an area for the maid to hang out and whatever, sleep there if they live in the house. And houses in the US just are not designed to have maids' quarters. It's just culturally not part of the US culture to have a full-time maid or a live-in maid. But in Latin America, even apartment buildings, the apartments will have a maid's quarters. So the houses definitely do. The next piece of it is better food. And by better, I don't really mean tastier or more options, because I know the US has like crazy amounts of food. You can even order food off Amazon and whatever, food with CBD in it or whatever. So I get that the US has a lot of variety of food, arguably more than say Nicaragua or most parts of Latin America. But the thing is, have you ever heard how Americans will go on vacation to Italy and they'll eat gelato all day and they'll end up losing 15 pounds? Well, the reason is because the food in the US is just full of hormones. It's full of just insane chemicals. And when you go to Latin America, similar to Europe, you're just eating food that has a lot less hormones, that has a lot less, genetically modified ingredients, less GMOs. The meat is going to be more natural. The fruit is going to be more natural. Growing up in Canada, all the fruit was imported. Everything was imported. Like nothing is grown in Canada except maybe, cranberries and apples. But everything else was imported. Everything you love. Pineapples are imported, bananas are imported, oranges are imported. So everything we were eating was imported. So when you go down to Latin America, everything is just going to be much fresher and it's going to be more natural. The next one is better weather. If you're listening to this and you speak English, there's a high chance, high probability that you're from Canada, the UK, or the, the megalopolis area of the Boston to Washington, D.C. corridor. That's the biggest population center in the US. And it's all pretty bad weather. Obviously, there are some parts of the US with pretty good weather. You have Florida, you have California. But by and large, when you go to Latin America, you're gonna have much better weather and you're gonna have more options. There are climate zones that exist in Latin America that don't exist in the US. Maybe you want that Medellin eternal spring weather. Well, they don't have that in the US. So if you want that San Diego type of weather, there's lots of places in Latin America that have that San Diego type of weather. Mexico has regions like that. Chile has regions like that. Peru has regions like that. Or if you want that Medellin weather, obviously there's lots of places in Latin America that have that Medellin style weather. In Colombia, in Ecuador, Cuenca is famous for having some of the best weather in the world. Mexico has some really cool mountain towns with really good weather, like San Cristobal. So I think in Latin America, overall, you just have more options for different biospheres that you could potentially base yourself in. The next one is better healthcare. I mean, this should come as no surprise that healthcare in the USA is terrible. We tweet about this all the time. And of course, we do get a lot of comments saying, yes, but for the 0.01% of cases with really specialized diseases or conditions, the US is better. And sure, I'm willing to concede that, but for 99% of people and 99% of situations, the healthcare is significantly better in Latin America. You can pay out of pocket and it's not going to cost an arm and a leg, no pun intended. You can see a doctor right away. You get more than 5 minutes with the doctor. The doctor actually talks to you. It's not just assistance. You're treated more humanely in general. It's a lot easier to see a specialist. And just overall, all aspects of healthcare in Latin America are way better. The dentist experience is way better. They don't force you to get expensive x-rays when you just want a cleaning. All these little things, like so much less bureaucracy in healthcare in Latin America. The next one is lower taxes. As an American, moving abroad is one of the most powerful things you can do to lower your taxes. Maybe you've heard of the foreign earned income exclusion. It's one of the most powerful tax breaks in the entire tax system available to Americans, where you can exclude up to $126,000 of earned income from your taxes, which works out to about $20,000. So it's almost as if you get paid $20,000 a year to live outside the United States. Sounds pretty good, right? You're basically getting paid $20,000 a year to go on a year-long vacation. And that's just one tax break. Of course, there's other ones. There's the foreign housing credit, and there's a whole bunch of them. But even just the FEIE alone is super powerful. And then the last one is overall higher standard of living. We talk about this phrase that's earn dollars, spend pesos. Geo-arbitrage. That's the fundamentals of geo-arbitrage. You'll be able to have a higher standard of living in Latin America for less money. And I'll give you some examples. So in the US, multimillionaires are still washing their own dishes. Multimillionaires are still doing their own laundry, folding their own clothes, cooking their own food, pumping their own gas. If you go to Latin America, you don't have to do any of that. I haven't been to the grocery store in 8 months. I have people that do that for me. I haven't washed clothes in 8 months. I haven't, any of this type of stuff. It's so cheap to get help, to get, a full-time maid, to get a chef, to get childcare. Basically any type of labor or service in Latin America is going to be significantly cheaper. Anything house-related, whether it's a plumber or a gardener, all that stuff is just so much cheaper. It's insane. I don't even understand how a babysitter costs, or whatever it's called, childcare in the US costs over $2,000 a child. If you have 3 children, people actually pay $6,000 a month for childcare. I need to, I don't even understand how that's possible. But on all aspects of things, you're going to have a higher standard of living in Latin America because of the things we talked about earlier, having a better home, a better food, better weather. All these things really add up to just having a higher standard of living, having more help on less money. You'll have a better standard of living on $3,000 to $4,000 a month in Latin America than you will on $12,000 a month in the US, guaranteed. So we're really confident that overall, if you leave the USA, you're gonna see a significant lifestyle upgrade in all areas of your life. And if you'd like help with your relocation strategy, if you'd like help from My Latin Life, you can reach out to us. There's gonna be a link in the description to book a call with us, and we're happy to speak with you as soon as you book a call.